Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another live episode of the Back to the Bible broadcast. Reese and Micah with you tonight.
Jordan's a big baby.
Jordan being big baby. No, these guys are all involved doing a bunch of moving around during Christmas,
holiday
during
season.
Christmas time. So Jordan's off trying to handle some of that, trying to get their space back into a sense of normality. And so hopefully he'll be back with us on the next episode, which, by the way, will not be live next Sunday because we'll have our men's Bible study.
Yep.
So the Sunday following that. And as we mentioned before, with the new year, we're diving into some material that is very important for our local area. So we're going to be doing a lot of advertising, or at least I'm going to try to do a lot of advertising here locally for those episodes because it has to do with a church here in town and something they're wanting to try to build on the outskirts of town. And it's just going to cause a big old mess. A lot of people are not happy about it, and rightfully so. And we want to let you know, keep telling you about it so that you can be staying up to date. And if you're here local in the area, Ronan, Polson, Pablo, even St. Ignatius for that matter, I need to be made aware of it because I'm pretty sure they mentioned some possibility of trying to do something similar down there too. And so it's going to end up affecting everybody. So if you're in the local area, be sure to let your friends know about this broadcast and how that we're going to be dealing with firsthand events going on in the community of Ronan, Montana. And that's all we'll have to say for right now. You need to tune in at the start of the new year, which is just a few days away. Yes, second week of the new year for what's coming around with that. So we are glad that you're with us tonight. Hopefully you're in a comfortable spot with Bible, pen, paper, and especially as we move into our discussion for tonight, because it's going to be question and answer.
Yay!
So it'll be left up to the viewers. And again, if you're in the local area, we invite you to come out and join us at the Ronan VFW Hall every Sunday. Our Bible class starts at 10 a.m. and our worship follows after that. What is special about the Church of Christ of Lake County is that you will receive theology without apology.
Kevin, I'm sorry.
I'd rather kiss a toilet seat. If the Bible teaches it, we're going to teach it also. And if the Bible says that this is a certain way that we're supposed to live, then we're going to do our very best to make sure we're holding ourselves to the standard as well as making sure others are walking to that same standard. We had a good evidence for groups that are not following that very practice with the broadcast we did last week in dealing with Kirk Cameron and his son, dealing with the topic of hell. Is it eternal punishment or is it conditional, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And that they started manipulating and pushing the doctrine because of how they perceived it to be. Well, here's what we know about God or what we think about God. He's merciful, so on and so forth. How can a merciful God punish somebody for all eternity? So thus, they started morphing what their view was of how God should be, and thus changing how hell is described in the New Testament. It is eternal. It is punishment. It is torment. And there just is no getting around that. And I think we're going to have to do some more, or at least one more episode on that, because we did not get through all the material like we wanted to. But anyways, we'll deal with that when the time comes. And just, another situation like with the brethren here down the road that you guys withdrew from and that we tried to get together with them. They have certain individuals there inside of the congregation that they just have bad attitudes. And it's the kind of bad attitudes that the scriptures are clearly speaking and teaching against, being backbiters and whisperers and contentious and so on and so forth, just, down the line. Well, the mentality with them is, well, that, that's just how they are. Okay. That is theology with apology. You're making excuses for how these people are behaving when they are in clear violation of what the scriptures say. And instead of handling it the way the Bible says that you should, go to them if it's a private offense, take 2 or 3 witnesses if they don't hear that. If they don't hear that, you take it before the congregation. If they won't hear the congregation, then you treat them as a heathen and a publican. You draw your fellowship. Instead of doing all of that, you find all kind of ways to work around it, ignore it, sweep it under the rug, and just not have to deal with it. Well, that's not what's going on with us. Because these problems that you're viewing as being, well, just these little things, they can become big things very quickly. and they become big things that don't not only cause problems for you and immediate, people in your immediate family and immediate sphere of influence, but it's going to spread throughout the congregation. That's what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, that sin is like leaven.
Mhm.
It spreads. It doesn't stay put. So you need to deal with these things. That's what we're seeing with most of the congregations of the Church of Christ, and definitely when it comes to the denominational world. They just do not deal with sin. They do not see sin as being as sinful as it is, Romans chapter 7, how Paul puts it. And thus it runs rampant,
Mhm.
and it causes more and more problems. With us, we're striving for holiness, purity, righteousness, and certainly following the standards that God's given to us. Anything you want on that?
I do.
Okay.
Because it doesn't just stop with the congregation either. It goes out
Mm.
into the world.
Oh, right.
Because no one's going to be able to get saved if you don't repent coming in. Most people are arms wide open. You don't need to repent of anything. So just come on in as you are. And if you have bad attitudes or you're doing things wrong already, how are you supposed to bring judgment or have any sort of standard that you're living by if you yourselves are living wickedly? So just to go on top of what you're saying.
And that's a good connection for another topic that we might be using in the future. We thought about using it tonight, but in reading through the information again and noting what the brother was actually dealing with, I would like to do some more investigation into what he was talking about.
Mhm.
And it also is a situation where he's in the process of trying to work things out
Yep.
with these brethren over the problem. So if he's trying to work things out, then the last thing I want to do is
Come in and ruin it.
like blast them all over YouTube as to what's going on and mess up any progress he could be making.
Yeah.
But it is in the same vein with that, to where here's this congregation involved in doing something that is actually having an effect on individuals all the way in Africa. I think that it is
Okay.
because of things that are going on there. So yeah, that's a really good point on how that it's not even just this stays a congregational problem. Even that 1 Corinthians 5 with the young man that had his father's wife,
Mhm.
that was something that was being commonly reported, and it was going out amongst everybody. So yeah, how are you supposed to bring people in? Oh yeah, this is you're needing to convert and give your life to Christ and live a holy, righteous life, and you got a guy in here committing fornication with his dad's, with his stepmom, and you want me to come in here and be like you guys? No thanks.
Yeah, exactly what was happening at the other congregation. One of the guys was smoking weed and doing stuff like that. And
Mhm.
then it's one of those, well, come on in. It's like, dude, you can't be doing that. And especially participating with the Lord's Supper, giving
Mhm.
prayers and all that stuff. And then you're expecting people to change their lives for Christ. That's not how you do it.
And he had a reputation as a brawler and
Yep.
everything like that, or still has that reputation throughout town. So yeah,
You're
all that's
expecting people to
really good.
Ew, I hate my voice.
Well, I'm trying to share this to our Back to the Bible broadcast Facebook page.
Yeah, I noticed that wasn't live last week.
Well, we're not able to go live yet because we don't have enough followers on that
Ah.
actual one.
Well, everyone go swap over there and
Well,
follow.
it doesn't really matter. We're up to 880 followers on the church's Facebook page.
Wow.
Yeah. So if that's where they want to check it out, that's where they can check it out.
We're getting famous.
Yeah. All right. Like we said, come out and see us. Well, let's go to the chat real quick. Brother Brown says, greetings. Good evening there, Brother Brown.
Hello.
Kevin Honeycutt, pray that everyone is healthy. I am feeling better. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, you guys are been sick.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
sure how Reese is feeling.
I'm
but-
feeling pretty good. Thank you.
Then you got Jordan in the chat, even though he's not here, says meow. Oh, he skipped one from Kevin, said the clock is slow. Well, Kevin, it's it's like watching a pot boil.
Yeah.
It's not going to go any faster because you're watching it. Go do something for the 5 minutes and then come back.
It's like as you're a kid waiting for your game to download.
That's
and
right.
You had to act like I don't care. You know?
When you're a kid, he's talking about what he's doing just a couple weeks ago.
It was over the weekend, and I ruined my other computer too because of it. So
Kevin Honeycutt with the laugh emoji. Brother Joseph Guy says watching. Brother Eduardo says hello, brothers. Hello, Brother Eduardo.
hello.
And then David Barnes, I believe Cameron stepped up and started making more videos that are controversial to replace Charlie Kirk. I don't know about that. I mean, hey, could be. That definitely, with Charlie Kirk passing away, it certainly opened up a void for anybody to try to step in and fill those shoes if they wanted to try. Who's to know? Which Jason Gennario left an interesting comment on one of the shorts, or maybe it was the actual episode, and he referenced another YouTube channel that spends a lot of time talking about the hell topic.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys saw that, but if I can find the channel, I'll pass it along to you guys, because that's what Jason said it sounded like Kirk was listening to, which Kirk gave a lot of his resources inside of that video. So it could very well have been a mixture of the two going on in that. All right. So we want to say welcome to our MC8T viewers, channel 189 out of Missoula. They re-air this broadcast Saturday nights at 10:30, I believe it is. If you're watching the re-air, why not watch us live? Sundays, 7:30 p.m., Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.
Come on over.
That's right. So no shout outs this week. We do have new subscribers, just nobody to shout out. And as we always start with the broadcast, we want to let people know about God's simple plan for salvation. And that is that you're needing to hear the gospel message, Acts 3:22, and that is the entirety of the gospel message, not just the death, burial, and resurrection. You need to believe in that message and believe in Jesus being the Son of God, John 8:24. Be willing to repent of a past life of sins, that is to change your mind, which leads to a change of direction, Luke 13:3. Be willing to confess with the mouth that Jesus is the Christ, Son of God, John 12:42. But that also is a confession with your life, that the way that you're living is a daily confession of your belief in who Jesus is. It's not just simply lip service that we're giving here, though that is a requirement, but this is a daily confession with, okay, I am repenting. I'm no longer living for myself and how I would normally do things after my own lust, but now I'm living for Christ and what his will is. After doing that, to be baptized in water for the remission of sins, to be saved, to have your sins washed away. Acts 2:38, 1 Peter 3:21, Mark 16:16, so on and so forth. Then you become a Christian. Then it's pretty much a cakewalk from there. Strive to remain obedient until death, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. Well, in the grand,
Some of you may die.
but that is a risk I'm willing to take. In the grand scheme of things, Christianity is a lot easier. I mean, sure, it may seem easier to give into the fleshly side of things, anger and what have you, but then knowing the consequences of those actions and giving into it's like, okay, this really wasn't that easy. Whereas going the other direction and what God says that you're needing to do, the consequences and the benefits from that pay out way more than the other side would actually do. So it all comes out to proper perspective and proper measurements and weighing out of consequences, benefits.
I think it's a lot easier having my mind than to be like those drug addicts leaned over. At least, there might be a temptation to do drugs, but I'm not going to do it.
Doing the fentanyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And for that topic of water baptism, we're still offering the book for free, Baptism Unwatered Down. Just send us your mailing address at the end of this broadcast
And
for a week.
somebody will take care of that.
Somebody will, not me. I have
Pass that torch down to somebody else.
I have delegated that over to somebody else more responsible in going to the post office than me. So if you do make the request, it will get done now. All right. So with this episode, moving into our question and answer, one of the passages that is going to be a recurring theme with these episodes, Acts chapter 13, verses 14 through 16. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and sat down. And after the reading of the law and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on. Then Paul stood up and beckoning with his hand said, Men of Israel, and ye that fear God, give audience. So this is the opportunity for the audience to beckon with the hand. Raise your hands out there if you have any questions for us to go over tonight. We do have one queued up in the PowerPoint. And it really troubled me that I could not, and I don't know if I just dreamed that there were some other questions or there were some other questions and I lost them somewhere.
Probably with the post office
Yeah,
stuff.
it could be. I need to delegate somebody to keep track of the questions. But we do have one question that we're going to do a revisit to from a few question and answers back. And we'll deal with that one first, just to give some people some time in the chat. Or if you want to call in, the number's is scrolling across the screen to call in with the question if you have it. All right. So the first one for tonight, as we said, comes from a few episodes ago. Question for the program. I know that physical illness is a legitimate reason for one to miss assembling for worship. But what about mental illness, especially something like anxiety that makes it difficult to be around people? What about deciding because of this to not place membership with any particular congregation and just either visiting around or partaking in worship activities like the Lord's Supper at home, depending on how you feel at the time? Yeah, this is something I deal with personally. Thanks, brethren. So this is one that we wanted to take some time to actually question this individual directly about it, because since it is dealing with mental illness and possible medical related issues, wanted to get some more information before just shooting from the hip about it, and especially since they were asking it from a personal standpoint. I reached out to the brothers as a member of the church, talked to him for maybe about an hour or so, and got some more information and said, all right, we'll come back and visit it at the next question and answer. So here we are. So Reese, what's some thoughts that you got going on this?
Well, I have anxiety just sitting here waiting for Micah to say, Reese, what do you got to think on this? But here I am. No, so yeah, one of the things that was going through my mind is and I talked to Micah about this a little bit before we started. As far as anxiety goes, usually I'm trying to think of how to word this. As far as my understanding goes, the anxiety, you're not usually born with this, I don't want to deal with life. Usually it's a learned deal caused by a traumatic situation that's happened before. So I can understand where this person's coming from to an extent, on where you get this anxiety to where you don't want to go anywhere or anything like that. But the Bible doesn't say that we're allowed to do that. The Bible says that we're supposed to assemble with one another. Hebrews 10:25, that we're supposed to partake of the Lord's Supper together. 1 Corinthians 11, and that we're supposed to sing to one another. So that would be Ephesians 5:19, Colossians 3:16. So these things are in a participation with other people. It's not supposed to be us isolated, holding on to the truth by ourselves. So as far as trying to use anxiety to stop you from doing things, I don't think that would be a right mindset. That I don't want this to come off across super mean, but that sounds more of a selfish thing than a wanting to participate with everyone and trying to help other people out as well. So as far as this goes, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to hit on this. Yeah, in worship activities like the Lord's Supper at home. So did you ask him what were your questions to him that you asked?
Well, I can't remember now. I can't remember now exactly what the questions were, but I will just to tack on to what you were presenting there. And Reese is giving his side of it without actually hearing what this brother is actually saying to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
He has been, so part of his particular issue is dealing with troublesome brethren.
Okay, yeah.
Where he goes. So part of his issue, from what I remember and from what I understand our discussion being, is that it has a lot of association with dealing with difficult people.
Okay.
And it's not so much a situation that he is trying to stay away or anything like that. He has, in fact, been putting a lot of effort in trying to go somewhere and to assemble and to attend.
Okay.
And so I just want to make that point of clarification, because if the brother's watching, I don't want him to think that Reese is saying this towards him, because there are plenty of people that would try to use that in the fashion that you were talking about, and that it's, well, yeah, I just don't want to do anything. I don't really want to go anywhere. I'm going to claim anxiety
Yep.
and use that as my crutch and to lean on and sort of keep people at a distance from getting on to me too much. So while that is the case, that's not what this guy is doing.
Okay.
He has been trying to go, and he has been trying to find a place to assemble, but it's just running into, and as you brought up the work situation, he even brought up some work instances with me where he has run into difficult people there, and he's had a hard time dealing with difficult people at work also. But he hasn't stopped working.
Yeah.
Like he knows, like, okay, I got to keep going. And even with the church stuff, okay, yeah, I'm needing to go, but it's just dealing with difficult people from that side of things.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because the question and how it's phrased is more, I have anxiety
Mhm.
and I'm just stopping everything. So that gives a lot more clarification. Yeah. In that regard, I would say keep going. Like, keep pressing through. It's hard, but it'll make it out in the end. You'll find a place if you keep staying to what's true and you keep diving into God's word, you'll find truth. If you keep praying to God, you'll find truth. Not God will speak to you, but you keep praying and
Seeking you'll find,
Yeah.
asking you'll shall receive.
exactly. Yeah. So if you keep going, you'll eventually find something to where you can take that breath, take that break, because as we say many times, the worship assembly is supposed to be this pit stop out of the world to get you focused on spiritual things, to get you prepped, ready to go out into your daily living by yourself. So if you're battling the brethren at the same time as the world, that can be very discouraging. I know, I've been there. So, but yeah, I've had great people to help me and that I could rely on, fall back on, and help me keep moving forward. So yeah, in that regard, that changes things, because I've known people in my lifetime that would use anxiety as a form of trying to get out of responsibility.
Mm.
And
Evangelism and whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, just anything.
anything. Yeah, anything. So as far as that goes, I wouldn't really put it as a mental illness. I would, because that's not really a mental illness. That is I'm being stopped from doing what I need to do because of brethren. Where do I go? What do I do? So that's where that cry for help would be, is over there, I think, rather than the anxiety, which can go along with it.
And I can see how that would cause anxiety, because, and that is, and like you just said, it is a very tough spot to be in, because going to the assembly and being with your brethren is how you're supposed to be able to relieve the anxiety of being out in the world for the entirety of the week. And this is where I'm able to come and get my batteries recharged and feel better,
edification.
be uplifted. But instead, and that, there again goes back to our intro of when you have brethren that are not living the way they're supposed to be living in a spiritual sense, and that's allowed to go on in the congregation, and then you have somebody like this that's needing help, it just creates a vicious cycle and a toxic place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But still, with that, the encouragement is, even with the people in the first century when Jesus was alive, in realizing that the Pharisees had corrupted God's system so much, the people still went to worship. They still went to the temple in spite of, everything that the Pharisees were doing that had corrupted God's worship and made the temple a den of thieves where it's supposed to be a house of prayer. So right there's the whole contrast of how it is supposed to be and what it really is. But the people that knew what it was and knew their need for going there, they still went, even in spite of that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be more than likely, I'm going to be overcharged, overtaxed in exchanging my money over so as to go give my gift to the temple. Yeah, I don't like that. And I'm sure that's a very stressful situation for them to have to endure even at that point, but they still went because, okay, I'm not even going to worry about that because that's not what I'm here to think about. I'm here to worship God, get what I need. And if there's any way to help the situation, then I will help the situation. And just a second here. All right. Hey, Brother Mason, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me finish my thought and then we'll come to you. Okay.
You betcha.
All right. Hold on there. If I can remember my thought.
His voice always takes my brain away. I like it.
Yeah. Just shut down and let him talk.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Where was I? So yeah, there are a lot of brethren today that are dealing with that very situation of, yeah, life is beating me down. Life is very hard. And here's where I'm supposed to be able to come to find rest and refuge with my fellow brethren. And instead of being able to find that, instead of being uplifted, just being beat down even further. And that's a tough spot to be in. Like Reese said, just if you can kind of keep shopping around till you find a congregation that is focused on those spiritual aspects of purity, holiness, then yeah, just keep looking.
Yeah.
Till you can finally find it. Add anything before we go to Nick?
Yeah, Hebrews 10:24. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. So that if you are coming with your brethren and they are provoking you to anger, that is not the same as love and good works.
Right.
So shame on them. And again, if you are listening, and that's, I guess, a question that I would have. Not, I don't want to get into it if you don't know, but how long he's been a Christian for, because that could be
I
a
didn't ask.
big game changer too. If if it's been years and years and years and you've had all of this life experience and, being a Christian, having all this experience compared to, I just converted over and I'm getting beat down, that could be a big turn off as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. That's good. All right. Ready to go,
Yep.
Nick? All right, Brother Nick, what you got?
Hello.
Well, good evening, brethren. Hope you guys are doing good in Montana. Hope you're not freezing to death like we are here in Missouri right now.
Well, it finally dipped down into the teens
Yeah, it's cold.
today. So this is our first cold snap.
Well, I just got done watering some cows and breaking ice. So anyway, hey, that's a different discussion. Let me just, if you guys don't mind, did I make a comment on this topic real quick, Micah?
Yeah.
And Reese? Okay.
Good.
You know what, folks? Here's the thing. We all want to have peace in our lives with whatever it is that we deal with. And I submit that God wants us to have that same peace. That's why I went ahead and put a comment in your guys' chat in regards to Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, for us to be anxious as far as anxiety is concerned, to be anxious for nothing. How? But with everything, with prayer and supplication and thanksgiving. We need to be grateful for the things that God has provided for us, and we need to be thankful in those things and communicating with Him constantly in prayer with that. He said, because we need to make our requests known to God. Why? Because when we have that constant communication with God, the avenue to God through His Son, Jesus, you can have a peace, folks, that will surpass all understanding. What do you mean all understanding? The understanding of that in which the world thinks they understand. We can have a peace in our hearts that's guarded. Our minds are guarded by the sanctity that we have through what Christ Jesus has provided for us, ultimately. And I was also mindful of this too. You know what? I can't judge somebody's heart. And I don't think that we're not authorized to judge somebody's motives. I can't see, I'm not Paul. I'm not an inspired man that could look into the heart of an individual like Agrippa
Mhm.
and tell some things about him. But I do know this. I know that anxiety is a real thing. It can be a real thing. I can't judge this individual's motives, can't judge his heart. But I know this. I want to use a couple different examples real quick. The two biggest, do you think Jesus, look what he went through.
Yep.
Look what he dealt with as a human on this earth even. You want to talk about anxiety? And though he was a son and he learned obedience through the things that he suffered, and he became the author of salvation for all those who obey him. Look what Jesus himself, when I think to myself, Nick, I can't believe you got to go through this or this. Look what Jesus went through. Look at the pearls and the different the different hardships that you can read about in 2 Corinthians 11 about what Paul himself went through.
Right.
But Paul was still able to write in Romans 8 that we're more than conquerors through him who loves us. We can be more than conquerors in the things of this life and the things of this world, because we can have that peace that surpasses that understanding. Consider about how many times individuals today would take Philippians 4:13 out of context, and they would say that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, what we really need to consider is that it's about contentment in our lives and being content with the things that God has provided for us, knowing that if we're obedient to him and we're faithful unto death, that we might receive that crown of life. Revelation 2:10. I have a hope of something better to come, folks, something better than this world. And I have absolutely sold out that because Jesus Christ shed his blood for all of us, that we can be with him someday. And where that is, Jesus says, and Jesus himself said, he said, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have already overcome the world. You're going to have trouble in this world. You're going to have trouble in this life. He said it's coming, but that's okay. He's provided everything that we need for life and godliness. 2 Peter 1:3. Everything that we need is in his word, and we have an avenue of prayer that will give us the peace if we only focus on the hope that we have for eternity with him someday. Anyway, I just wanted to make that comment real quick, Micah and Reese. Thank you guys for letting me take just a minute to do that.
Oh no, yeah, we appreciate it. And yeah, Reese and I were actually talking about it before we got started, and attaching on to the your examples of looking to Christ and looking to Paul. Just the whole host of individuals that we have recorded for us in the scriptures and all the difficulties that they went through, and it is too. It's a situation of the like you're saying, yeah, everybody feels anxiety, so we're not wanting to discredit that, to ignore what this person is feeling. And I would argue that part of the issue that people have is that they have not gathered the proper coping mechanisms
There you go.
to deal with the anxiety.
You bet.
And what you laid out with the scriptures is really what that is. These are all coping mechanisms on how, okay, I'm stressed right now, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Well, what can I do so as to help temper down these feelings and these emotions that I'm having? Well, count your blessings. Think about, think about the good things that are going on, not focusing so much on the negative. If it is a major problem that's needing to be dealt with, well then, okay, let's try to handle it. Reach out to somebody that can help you in handling it. Like you mentioned, praying to God about it. So I mean, yeah, just like you're saying, everybody goes through these brief, or not brief times, but these times of feeling that way. So my wife and I are in the process of trying to get into foster care. Those that have the newsletter, you read about that. So we're trying to do different renovations to the house to get it ready to be able to bring kids in. And then at the same time, we got hit with some medical bills, and there's just, several different things that were piling up as we're trying to get to this goal of being able to be, foster parents. And can remember my wife and I talking about it, and we're just, she was feeling, she's having a hard time with it, and just laying all these things out and how it was going. And I just said to her, I said, we could die tomorrow, and all of these things that we're worrying about would no longer be a thing.
That's right.
They just would no longer be an issue. And it's just, we would be on the other side in eternity, enjoying paradise, and it's just like, what bills,
Right.
what debt, and just
You know,
like you mentioned, the hope and the comfort that just comes from that. It's like, all right, yeah, we can deal with this. Go ahead, Nick.
we can deal with it, Mike. You know, you and I've spoke for some time now, and I visited with you about a lot of things. And you know what? I'll just throw it out there for one reason only, and that's to try to help or build up or edify whoever this individual is. I don't even know who this is, and it doesn't matter. God knows him. But you and I've spoke. You know what, Micah? You know that I've been through it. I've been through it with my mom. I've been through it with losing her and the whole gambling thing, and we spoke about that. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But you want to talk about anxiety and the things of this world, and it can be very overwhelming. And I submit that that's one of the wiles of the devil. Those are some of the fiery darts that you read about in Ephesians 6 that he's throwing at you. He is the deceiver. He wants to bring doubt. He's the accuser. You're not good enough. And he was going to throw all kinds of things at the Christians in order. He is your adversary. He is like a roaring lion seeking who he might devour. 1 Peter 5:8. The enemy is going to try to steal, kill, and destroy. That's his job. And if he can do that from the heart and from the emotions and from the intellect side, he'll take any approach that he can. He tried to change Eve's mind in the garden. He tries to test Jesus Christ himself in the garden.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can have hope though, because we're more than conquerors, not by with what we do, but what was already been done for us. We can be partakers in that justification and in the righteousness that we read about in Romans. We can be partakers of these things only through the blood of Jesus. Because you got to have that. You've got to be sold out to the hope that it requires. You got to have that kind of hope that it requires. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. He said it's the evidences of things not seen. And I have a hope. Not a hope, well, I hope I'm right. No,
Right.
I'm longing for the day. And I hope that this young man or this young woman or whoever it is that you're referencing, I hope that they can have that mindset to be more than conquerors only by having that level of hope, no matter what you deal with in this world, no matter what you're going through. You could never, ever get past what God's love is for you, Romans 1:32. You couldn't throw it, and you couldn't reach that high. Know that he loves whoever this individual is. Know that he loves you and know that he wants what's best for you. But at the same time, you need to guard your hearts and your minds by the word of God and by staying in constant prayer with him. I won't take you guys' night up, Micah. Thanks for taking my call. Reese, stay blessed. You guys try to stay warm up there in Montana.
All right. We wish the same thing for you. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
All right. God bless.
God bless. See ya. And then, there's just something else in there that, as Nick was talking, okay. So as we mentioned about, this brother feeling beat down, being out in the world, wanting to come to the assembly, wanting to be, built up and edified, and he's not getting that. And thus that's causing him to potentially feel like he wants to stay away. Well, another aspect to put onto that also is what you might, by you not going because you're feeling a certain way, and we're not downplaying how you're feeling because brethren are being how they're being. Reese knows about it. I know about it. Nick knows about it. Hey, we've all been there. You're not alone in it. Is then to think about, well, what about somebody else who's going through something like what I'm going through and you being able to help them? So it's a flipping of the script and a flipping of perspective. Instead of, and I'm not saying this person is doing this, but instead of just thinking about me and what I'm getting out of it, what can I put into it? And what would somebody be able to gain and be able to benefit from me being there so as to help them? So it's a situation of being part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there's a lot of problems here, and yeah, these brethren aren't really treating me the best, but I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do differently. I'm going to go in here and know and be how I know how I'm supposed to be and follow the golden rule. And I'm going to treat these other people like I want to be treated. And that has an ability of just completely turning your mood around because now you're serving others.
Yeah.
And you're not so much you're looking out, not so much looking in that situation. So again, it's similar to the first century Jews going to the temple with the Pharisees, and it's just, yeah, they're doing all this bad stuff, and it's really ruining and putting a damper on what we're doing here, but I'm still going to go because I know that I need to go. I need to worship God, and then I might be able to help somebody.
Yeah.
Who's struggling like what I'm struggling. So that's just, just a different aspect on it. So I think overall the encouragement is, yeah, don't let those emotions control you. It's not a situation that you're ignoring the emotions. Feel them, try to handle them. Go to the scriptures, go to prayer, go to faithful brethren for encouragement. And just as you're implementing these, the characteristics of Jesus in your life, that's going to help to better your mood, and it's going to help to make you of more service to the kingdom.
Yeah.
In that line. So yeah, just keep plugging along. Like we say, go to the scriptures, read the examples of these people that went through terrible things and just, they didn't give up. They kept on going. How is that? Goes back to the hope and comfort that Nick Mason was talking about. You gotta hold on to that. So yeah, just overall the message is just keep keeping on. Anything else?
Yeah, just don't. To add on top of that, don't sell yourself short either. Don't go, well,
Yeah.
I went through these things. That's called, well, just the word spaced it. Experience. The word's called experience now. You have life experience. So in a game sense, I can think like this. You gain experience in the game to level your character up and become the hero that you want to be in the game. So life is the same way. You have all these hard trials that you go through, and those hard trials that you go through create experience that you can take with you to become that person that you want to be. So in the kingdom, it's really important to not get caught up with those worldly things, because as Mike has said, we might not be here tomorrow.
And then it's somebody else's problem.
Yeah, exactly. They get to clean my house. Yeah, to add on top of all of this, I have a screenshot on my phone, and I think it's a 4-year-old sister helping a 2-year-old brother who's going through chemo, and he's thrown up at the toilet, and she's there comforting him. And the highlight says, "My problems just got lessened." It's like, wow, that it hits me even now thinking about it. It's like, wow, my problems just ran away because this little girl is helping her brother that's more than likely not going to make it. So to keep that in mind, we're not here forever. There's always something worse out there. And the problems that I'm going through, I can deal with them, and I can keep moving forward and help those who are eventually going to get stuck in my position, because especially working electrical, going back to a work thought process, is more than likely somebody's going to be put in the same position that I'm in. And I've worked on a lot of different things, fixing a lot of different problems. It's like somebody's going to ask me for questions, and I'm going to have that answer. Same thing with this is I've gone through different breakups with congregations, disfellowshipping, all these things. More than likely, somebody's going to come with questions asking, how do I get through this? How am I going to make it out here? And that's what we're here for, is to help each other. It's not supposed to be one of those things that letting this anxiety or this fear take over and go hide away in your house. Now, I'm not saying that's what this individual is doing, but that's what the thing that you want to do is to go hide away in your house and not go out. It's like, no, life's hard. I don't want to deal with it. It's like, you're not going to go anywhere like that, and you're not going to feel any better either. You got to rip the Band-Aid and sometimes trudge through it for the betterment of everything. That's all I got.
All right. Well, just to tack on a scripture to that last thought you had about our gain of experience that then allows us to be able to help, be a help to others. That is 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 1 through 11. I would say maybe go down to 12. We're not going to read it tonight, but I would, yeah, for sure. If you find yourself going through something, and I had a young guy from Arkansas send me an email about a tough situation that he was going through, and he emailed me and he asked me, he said, how is it that with what you guys go through with the work we were doing in Virginia, and we took a lot of flack for stuff, and how is it that you can just keep going on with the attitude that you have,
Mhm.
is ultimately what he was asking. And I sent him 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and just said, this pretty much is the nuts and bolts of it, that God has comforted us. He's comforted me through all kinds of different things. And that then gives me the motivation to want to go out and be a comfort to somebody else, because I know what it was like to need to be comforted.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea of paying it forward. Once, you go through the drive-through and I want to pay for their food. You get up to the window, they paid for your food. You're like, oh man, that's great. Let me pay for the guy that's behind me.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes along and messes it all up. But until that happens, everybody's feeling really good about it, because it's just like, man, yeah, somebody was thinking about me in that, that kind of situation. And that's what Christianity is about. It's about thinking about others, not yourself. So that's where I would end that discussion. Feel good?
I was gonna say that you're adding on top of me.
No, we're
adding-
done.
yeah.
We're done. We're going on.
The add on top of that is to also accept somebody else's generosity. If somebody wants to pay for your groceries in line, let them pay for your groceries in
Yep.
line, and then take care of other people. Might not be with your money, but go take care of other people that you can. It's like, wow, that should motivate you to be a better person.
Yeah.
And to keep going.
That's good. All right. We got one in the chat. Eduardo coming in with a question.
Nope.
When establishing a congregation in a city, what are some things to consider? Got any thoughts on establishing congregations in cities?
Don't do it in a place like Ronan, Montana.
Within the boundaries of a reservation.
Yeah, and or Sin City. So yeah, no, I'll let you take.
Yes, location.
Yeah, I'll let you take this one.
All right.
Since you know and have experience with this.
Well, he goes a step further. After we have the Cooper 1971, which I didn't realize that was Nick Mason's handle on YouTube, so it's good to know that. His Philippians 4:6-7 that we've already read. Eduardo follows up by asking, if a city once had a congregation and later closed their doors, what would be some things to consider before the task is taken on? In the scenario I'm mentioning, those wanting to pursue the task are having to travel 30 to 45 minutes away. Is that enough of a reason, or are there other matters to consider? Oh, well, so we're looking at it from the standpoint of, and Eduardo, you can help me if I'm missing the point. We're looking at it from the standpoint of people they're just not wanting to drive 30 minutes, 45 minutes and wanting to establish another congregation. I don't know that that's really the best of reasons, but at the same time, I don't know that there really is a bad reason to start another congregation in another city.
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely you do not want to set up inside of a city where congregation already is. Now, let me clarify that, because we have done that. That was not my first choice.
Mhm.
And in fact, when we first got here to Montana, one of the first things we tried to do was to go over here and talk to these brethren and try to work this stuff out. Because we do not need two congregations of the Churches of Christ inside of Ronan. I mean, technically we are a city. I don't know how in the world we got classified as a city. There's more cows here than there are people. But in as small a town as Ronan is, you're not needing two different congregations.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, it is understandable as to why that happens, because these brethren over here are not behaving how they're supposed to behave. They're not walking in the doctrine. They're not walking in accordance with the spiritual attributes that we're supposed to have as being Christians. So naturally, you have to withdraw yourself from them and If you withdraw yourself from them and they're the ones with the building, well, then you're left with no other choice than to start something else.
Guess what? You got to meet at home.
Right. So we have two groups here when there really should only be one. So from this standpoint, I would be very cautious just from the motivation aspect of it. In that, well, we're wanting to do this just because we're not wanting to travel so far. You're already not starting on a good foot because you're showing a lack of conviction.
On this, he said that a building got shut down
Mhm.
or they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be I'm trying to in not just well, I don't want to drive 30 to 40 minutes. Is it just to take over the building? If that's the case, then I wouldn't see a problem with starting it.
Well, yeah, in this second point,
Mhm.
if we ignore the third section, then yeah, I would be all for this.
Yeah.
So like, let's say, for example, in a perfect world, we did work things out here with these brethren, and everybody was able to meet together there in Ronan or here in Ronan. And then we found out about, let's say there is a congregation in Missoula south of us, but let's say they had closed up years ago.
Mhm.
So here we are in Ronan and we're doing okay. And then we find out, oh, there used to be this congregation in Missoula that folded up. Let's try to get something started there.
Mhm.
If we have the numbers and we have the strength to do that, then yeah, absolutely. Let's revive this thing and put have a congregation be here so as to help Missoula. Missoula needs a lot of help. And have souls be saved from sin, and let's start getting some Christians in here. Yeah, absolutely. If the building's already there and and somewhat of a reputation's already there, like, oh yeah, we know about the Church of Christ and they closed down, but yeah, good to see them back open again and being able to use that to your advantage. Absolutely. Go for it and give it a shot and just see what happens. But yeah, it's this third one. It's this third one that gives me pause. So I see what they're saying here. Well, there's already a building there. They closed their doors. And here's a group where Eduardo is, and they're saying, well, yeah, we want to try to open this back up because we're having to travel 30 and 45 minutes to get to where we are now. It's just like 30, 45 minutes is not that big of a deal.
Mm-mm.
And especially considering that especially people around here, they're driving to Kalispell, Missoula to go to work.
Yeah.
So they're driving an hour or more.
Yep.
Just to go to work. And yeah, it's not the best, but they're willing to do it so as to go to work. Then what's 30 minutes to go worship God?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Eduardo, if you have any further clarification on that,
Would love to hear it.
Just give us some more insight and we'll keep spitballing with you. If you hadn't put the third one,
just delete it.
Yeah,
just go back and delete it.
If you hadn't been putting in that third aspect, everything be looking good. Yeah, absolutely try to go for it. And just, from there, it's going to be making sure that you advertise properly about it. And here's Eduardo going to give us some clarification. All right, Eduardo, what you got for us?
Hi, good evening, brethren. So in terms of the distance situation, I don't think I brought that up because in looking at numbers, I understand, other states, cities are further, spread out and there's greater distance to cover. But in Southern California, from what I see, it's most cities you drive, 10 minutes one way, you're already in a different city, or 5 minutes in another direction, you're already in a different city. In terms of, working the community and doing outreach, does one then have to go to the city where the congregation meets and then canvass that city or work that city? Or does one bring the members or, the work in their own city where they're living to the city where they're congregating at. I don't know
Mm,
if that makes any sense. And that's kind of like the point that I'm trying to figure out is, okay, in the city that, and to be clear, it's, the conversation was started between me and my older brother. We both go to different congregations. But in talking about it, I can try to understand his point where he was saying, there's specifically no Spanish congregation in that city, and most congregations around us are going to be obviously mostly English. But that community of that city that we are from, or I was from, that is a predominantly Hispanic and also Black community. And
okay.
so, in trying to address, the community or trying to do outreach, those are some of the things that I'm thinking about. Like, okay, how does the thought of establishing a congregation come about? Does it have to be that matter where there's one in every city, or that doesn't really matter, or it needs to be in a foreign country, or I don't know if that makes any sense. That's kind of where that question came from.
Okay. Well, no, I appreciate the clarification, especially from the aspect of it being, like you're saying, it is a primarily Spanish speaking community.
Mhm.
Then yeah, for sure, I would look at that as an opportunity to, instead of having them come to where we are, and then, so it can go either way.
Mhm.
You could have them come to where you are, and if you have a translator, then utilize a translator for the assembly. I know some brethren, they have two different I don't want to say it this way because it sounds wrong, but they have a Spanish speaking congregation inside of the same building, and they meet in a different section of the building while the English speaking brethren are in another section of the building.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't mean to cut you off, but no, that's basically from what I've grown up and what I've seen. That's basically how it normally operates.
Right.
Usually, you have an American or English speaking congregation, and within that congregation, you may have, for instance, in a different city, I noticed that they now have, I don't know, I think it's Mandarese. So they're also targeting the Asian community or those that speak that language along with the Spanish. And so they kind of they figure it out one way or another within the same building. But then, so that really the conversation, because I was taking my mother-in-law and she was coming with us at the congregation where we were at. And one of the things that came up with my brother was, how's that going? And I told him, well, she's kind of, she's going, but I think there are some things that she kind of misses out on as far as information. So, I try to have discussions with her, but, one of the things that he brought up was like, well, would you consider, in the afternoons we can get together and bring your mother-in-law and our parents and we can perhaps start something there. But I guess what I'm trying to figure out before we commit to anything is, okay, how does that, are there other things to consider, and how does this task look like without, I guess, any leadership or perhaps anyone really knowing, other than, okay, we're just getting together and study the Bible.
Gotcha. Well,
so anyways, I'll let you guys, I don't know if you guys have any more clarification from me, but that was basically where those questions were coming from.
no, I think I got a pretty good picture of it. You good? Yeah.
Ish.
Okay.
See,
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Eduardo.
man.
All right. No, I mean, that's number one. Anybody should look at that as being a great opportunity. And really what we're discussing falls within the realm of liberties. So whether it's a situation of bringing whoever over to an already established congregation and trying to work out the logistics of it to make sure that everybody's getting edified as they should. He's mentioned his mother's coming, but not really sure if she's, picking up on everything. Then, okay, let's try to figure something out that is going to be feasible for everyone in making sure that everybody's getting what they need. So whether that's bringing them to an already established congregation where you are, or taking that leap and opportunity of, well, okay, there obviously was a congregation here. The building is here, but it folded. So now let's go back in here and let's revitalize this. All right. That's, if you have the means to do that, then yeah, go for that and see what ends up happening. So then, as far as like the whole leadership aspect coming into play, all right, that's going to be, that is going to present its own challenges in that you are going to need to try to reach out to some brethren that have knowledge in like ascertaining buildings and all that kind of stuff. But then from there, if you're able to actually get the building and get ownership of the building, then it's just going in and operating as you would in accordance with the scriptures, and more than likely as you're already doing with the assembly where you're already attending. You're making sure that you have prayers that are being offered up. You're involved in singing, teaching together through psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. You're partaking of the Lord's Supper and taking up the collection.
Definitely the collection.
Yeah, oh yeah, don't miss that. Can't miss out passing the plate. And then sermon, and you're up and running.
And live stream and set up a broadcast and
oh man,
and deal with your anxiety.
Yeah, everywhere's got to have their own BBB, and a portion of your contribution has to come
to the
to
original
us.
BBB.
That's right. It comes to the mothership here. No, you're not needing to do that. Yeah. So then
Be clipped.
yeah, for sure. So even with the congregation here, okay, we don't have an eldership because we're a recent startup. All of our members are, that's one of the advantages that we have with this congregation. Everybody's really young, whereas most congregations have a problem of, well, everybody's really old.
Everyone's dying out.
Yeah, our problem is the reverse of it. Nobody's old enough to actually take on these roles of leadership.
Not that we need the eldership anyways.
Yeah, you can go back to what, like episode 120?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that long ago. It's like 145 where you said that. So then it's just a situation where everybody's working together. Everybody has opportunity to give insights and to give opinions for what we're doing here. When we make decisions for tent meetings or even discipline that needs to be done, I don't make a move before bringing it up to everybody as to what we're thinking about doing. And that's because, I'm not the pastor here. I'm not the head honcho. Yeah, I've got the experience and so on and so forth, but I'm not running this show. And especially considering that everything that we're going through the first time together, and this is a learning experience for everybody. And when it comes to discipline issues, I open it up to everybody. Okay, what do we want to do with this? And, it's kind of slow rolling at first, but then the question I ask is, well, what scriptures can you think of that come to play and find application with what we're dealing with here?
Nobody likes the lashes or the stoning
right?
that I've come up with.
Yeah.
So,
and that usually gets the ball rolling pretty good. And then it's like, well, okay, now that we've got these scriptures, now we got a plan of attack. How do we want to implement it? How do we want to actually follow through with it? And everybody has a say in it. With the tent meetings, all right, what's our theme? What do we want to have designs be? How do we want to door knock? All that kind of stuff. And that's an opportunity. That's a chance for everybody, first off, to be involved and feel like they have a part in it. And then also to gain the experience of having to think about these things. And most congregations, they do not get that experience because everything just falls on one person, usually the preacher, to then make all these decisions. Well, then the preacher leaves And then it's just like, well, what are we going to do here?
Where'd
Yeah,
you go?
we're it's John Travolta, Pulp Fiction, looking around. So to start from the ground like that and working your way up is going to be a really good chance for growth for everybody involved. So as far as getting into the minute details of it as to the leadership roles and everything like that, even with the eldership, it's a joint leadership. These guys are leaders together. No one elder is above the other. And I would say that is going to be the greatest difficulty you're going to have in making sure that you have that kind of leadership and that nobody starts trying to go for power plays.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's like, even with what we're doing with the broadcast. Yeah, I know how to run this stuff. I know broadcast technique from being in Virginia, live television, all that. But I don't just go around calling the shots on what's happening with what we're doing. It's communication through the three of us in, well, okay, what do you want to do next? What topics are on your mind? Well, okay, even when it comes to the thumbnail,
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking you guys for advice, sending you guys the thumbnails. What do you think about this? And we're tweaking it together and all that kind of stuff. Everything we're doing is pretty much together. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. And from that aspect of the leadership thoughts of it, that's where your brain needs to be going, in that, okay, yeah, we're wanting to get this going. Then we need to have a conversation that, look, we're all on the same page here. We're all on the same level. We're working together for the same goal and for the same cause. Nobody needs to start getting the big head here. And if you can establish that early, then I think it's going to end up going a long way for helping that particular work and new congregation get up and going. And can't really think of anything else to throw in there to his question, because every situation is different when it ultimately comes down to starting up new works.
Yep.
And so it's not you would like for it to be a cookie cutter type deal, and that just, every area you go should just be able to work out just like this. It's not going to go that way. So be flexible, make sure that you're able to shift things around, be mobile. Don't be so set in your ways of how you want it to be and how you want it to look. More than likely, you're going to make some pretty big changes to that. And just be able to go with the flow to a large degree, just first starting. Got any thoughts?
Ask for help too. Don't be afraid. Don't get to a point to where you don't know what to do, but you think you know what to do, but deep down you don't know what to do. And you do something wrong, because that's when it really comes back to bite you, and you're going to have to sometimes uproot the things that you place down to backtrack. So to really, as Micah was saying, to have the group of people that you're going to get into a group of and have everyone involved, not just one person to where I'm calling the shots and no one else has a say or anything like that. Get the group of people that you're going to get and have a system down. But as Mike says, is be flexible and have mercy.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because a lot of mistakes are going to be made. So everybody needs to be ready to ask for forgiveness and ready to give forgiveness. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one for sure. Be ready to extend some mercy. All right.
Just the last thing was, and remember your goal is
yeah.
heaven.
Mhm.
Remember that this is what we're here for. It's not a power play. It's not I'm over you, you're over me, or anything like that. It's we're all trying to get to heaven. We're all trying to get to heaven. How can I get you there? And it kind of keeps yourself out of it, looking at other people on how I'm trying to get them to heaven, not power playing. Well, I'm getting them to heaven because of it's my way or anything like that. It's like, no, it's whatever the group wants, and how can I be of benefit to this person? So that was my last
All right.
thing there.
I like it. David Barnes, when the church allows backbiting, our lives worship Jesus hindered, especially if it's an elder's daughter conquering him. Sounds like you're coming from some personal experience there, David. But I mean, so right there, going back to the theology without apology, it is amazing how these individuals who are supposed to be in leadership, and then they let family members like this get in the way and alter what they know is supposed to be done.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that even goes back to the whole Mount Zion situation where we did an episode, man, what was that? Like 130 something. I can't remember, but anyways, that was the situation there. And as to, part of the reason why I ended up losing my support from Mount Zion was because they didn't like me pointing out how one of the former elders' granddaughter was running around in a bathing suit, posting it on Facebook.
Naked. Well, it wasn't her. It was somebody else that posted
Oh
it.
yeah, it was her friend that posted it, but she was still, yeah. And that's an excuse that Gilbert Goff, the preacher, tried to use. She's still out there in her bathing suit, so it doesn't matter who posted it. Oh man, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be dealt with, usually is not dealt with, and it gives the church a bad name and gives the world an opportunity to blaspheme God, as God said to David in the Old Testament.
So if you're trying to start a church, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Brother Brown, yeah, but when you think about others, Jesus, who are going or have gone through much worse, you feel worse because you feel guilty and selfish. Well, that's where I would, so again, we're talking about these coping mechanisms, and that's in a situation where you're allowing yourself to get into a cycle where number one, it is not selfish or wrong or guilty to feel this way. And I think that's one of the things that needs to be clarified when we're talking with, everything that Nick Mason was discussing, and not saying that what he was saying was wrong, but a lot of times how that is presented, so number one, oftentimes it is presented from the standpoint of, well, this is how you should feel all the time, and thus you should never feel this way over here. You never should feel worse, selfish. You never should feel guilty, so on and so forth.
Happy.
Right, but that's not what we're presenting. There's absolutely nothing wrong with feeling these things. There's nothing wrong with feeling anxious. That is an emotion that God gave us. And when God got done creating man, he looked at it and said, well, it's good, as to how he made us. So it's there for a reason. And the anxious feelings, fear is also another way to look at it. Fear can be there to keep you safe. Fear can be used so as to keep you out of harm and out of trouble. But where fear can become a problem is when fear keeps you from doing things that you know that you should do. So there's the balance that we're trying to work with this. So I'm glad that Brother Brown brought this up. A lot of people look at fear and what the scriptures say about it, it's like, oh, Christians shouldn't be fearful. And it's just like, never. Like that's how you're taking that, because when I read the Hebrew letter, it talks about Jesus being afraid in dealing with the crucifixion. So if Jesus was afraid, why can't I be afraid? So there's some miscommunication going on there. It's not a situation that all fear is bad or that all fear is sinful. It's when we allow fear to overrun us and to keep us from doing what we know that we should do. Then we're going to get into trouble with fear. But to feel fear in a situation, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So that's a good point there with what Brother Brown had mentioned there. Add to that.
I was gonna say, if a house is burning and your family members are inside, I would be afraid to go in there. But that's where courage comes about. That you're not born with courage.
Mhm.
Courage is a learned thing to where it's supposed to break that fear, pretty much set it to the side, and you react with that courage. So with anxiety or fear or anything like that, yeah, to look at others and what they've gone through, to also change it from not feeling worse about yourself, but if they can do it, I can do it. So it's a change of mind as well that um you in general are needing to do, um to look at what other people have gone through and to change the thought process behind what you're going to do and how you can do it because they've done it. So
And so even to, what he's mentioned there about thinking about what Paul went through, and it makes me feel worse because and guilty, selfish when I'm looking at what I'm going through, and it's not even in comparison. It's just, well, yeah, that's again, there's nothing wrong with feeling that. That actually is that is a good thing for you to feel.
sobering.
Yeah, it's a humbling situation in that, well, yeah, what am I complaining about?
Mhm.
And it is, it should give some more, give proper motivation that, yeah, this isn't so bad. It is bad. It's just not so bad. So again, it's not an attempt to ignore what you're going through or to just, oh no, what I'm going through is not bad. No, what you're going through could be bad, but it's just not as bad as it could be.
At least Job had a nagging wife.
Right. That's right. And so even to your point about courage and fear, I think it was John Wayne that said courage is being afraid but saddling up anyways.
Mhm.
You know John Wayne?
Mhm.
Okay. He was afraid of horses?
Whoa,
Like, no joke. The real actor was afraid of horses,
man.
but yet he was in all those westerns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's courage.
Instagram.
Yeah. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's saddling up even when you're afraid. David Barnes. Oh, when the church allows backbiting among the saints, especially from an elder's daughter, worship is hindered. For sure. Yep. Agree with you there. Brother Brown, my coping is to make jokes to lighten the mood or get away from everyone because you just can't deal with people in general. Sometimes, hey, I'm an introvert. Sometimes you just got to do that. And even for me, it's not necessarily an anxious thing. Man, I keep
You squeaking over
I
here.
don't know if everybody can hear that. But yeah, just sometimes I just can't deal with people, and I got to have my time, but I have to make sure that my time is before when we're supposed to come together so that I can actually deal with you guys. And then,
Hey.
and then Brother Brown says, Reese, I've tried for 50 years to be the person or hero that I've always wanted to be. I'm still the same loser piece of trash I've always been. The only thing that's changed is that I've gotten old. Man, you got to change the way you talk about yourself.
Yup.
For sure.
Got to go look in the mirror and go, I love you.
I am good enough. Kevin Honeycutt, 30 minutes. What does that mean?
Are we past?
Yeah, we're at an hour 19.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Non-worldly Alex. Not sure who that is. I know they've been in the chat before, but he's asking how the job market is up here in Montana. There's always need for police officers.
Yep. My wife won't let me do it. So
And that tells you a little bit about the area that we're in, how the crime situation is, that they are in need of police officers and correctional, what are they called?
correctional officer.
Is that it?
Officers.
Okay.
Yeah, or deputies.
Yeah, people working at the jail.
Yeah.
So if you want to get into one of those areas, we got work for you. But I don't know. I mean, there's a good bit of building going on.
Missoula,
Missoula,
area.
Kalispell's
Yeah.
booming. Hey man, even when Christine and I went up to Whitefish, we went up to Eureka,
Mhm.
like just for a drive. They are building all kinds of crazy stuff up there.
Hmm.
And for those of you who don't know, Eureka is way north.
Yeah.
Like
it's
you're in Canada pretty much when you get to Eureka.
it's like trees and a lot of people and then back to trees. Like there's probably more trees than there are cows over here.
Right. But no, they're starting to build up there,
Hmm.
like subdivisions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
It's looking crazy up there.
those Californians.
Yeah.
Eduardo, I'm looking at you. No.
if you're if you're construction or electrician, plumber, there's
Or a
work.
drug dealer. Good trade out here.
Yeah, it's a pretty good market here on the reservation if you're in that line of work. But yeah, aside from that, I don't really know. I don't know. Depends on what market you're in. Now, he can't come on live with us, but he can call.
Man,
What-
don't you have to go put your kids to bed or something?
Yeah, what do you want?
Yeah, that's funny. That's so funny. I don't mean to take up your guys' time.
No.
My voice is not going to sound as great as Nick's, but
Nick or Eduardo, they both have really cool voices.
yeah, they do. I know. They need to start a podcast. Can I take can I take a spot here?
Go ahead.
I wanted to go back through the J.S. Brown comments. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to go through because I was reading them as they were coming on live, and it was during, when Reese was going through, hey, you just need to be, Army talk and be the hero and la-di-da-di-da and all that stuff. And I was watching J.S. Brown, and as he was going down the list, and I'm reading it from his perspective and I don't know what he's going through because I didn't get to talk to him either. So, when I got to the comment where it says, Reese, I've tried for 50 years to be the person or hero that I've always wanted to be, and I'm still the same loser, piece of trash I've always been. The only thing that's changed is that I've gotten old. I have a father that I've worked with for most of my life.
30 years.
And I was taught a lot of things that were good and a lot of things that were bad. I worked with him. He was my dad. I went to church with him. And for most of my life, that is what he said about himself all the time. We are no longer in fellowship with our dad. You can go back to the episode where our mom was on there. And there's a lot more details there. But I'm going back. My dad talked about himself like this all the time. Now, I know that in my dad's childhood and through the years, he's gone through a lot of stuff. He's gone through some trauma, and I think there's some mental stuff there. But the thing that especially in recent years, when we were trying to keep the fellowship there, I continually would say to him, are you like Saul, who killed Christians and had to go look at the husbands or the wives or the children that you persecuted in changing your life and changing your life and becoming a Christian? Have you done such things that bad? Have you done anything that was that bad? And I would try to get him to not talk about himself like that. And so it goes back to everything that you guys were saying at the beginning of the program. And actually today's lesson that Micah presented, which is a great lesson. You got to go listen to it tomorrow at 6 a.m. But it's that you've got to put the kingdom first. That's all we have here in this life. All we have is the brethren. All we have is the word. All we have is God. All we have is the hope for heaven. You cannot keep yourself down. And I mean, I know you guys are wrapping it up and, it's getting lighthearted, but as I was reading it, I'm like, I've seen this before. And you cannot keep yourself down there. You cannot keep calling yourself a piece of trash. And my dad, as a Christian, would use a different word that was not as nice about himself. You cannot keep doing this. That is not how God feels about you, and that's not how your brethren should be feeling about you, and that's not how I feel about any human beings. You cannot keep putting yourself down there. Put the kingdom first. Everything will be added to you. You cannot keep putting yourself down in talking about yourself like that. And I don't know what the situation is over there, but I, for one, am going to be praying for you. And I hope that whatever is going on can change. But when I read that, I was like, I've heard that so many times throughout the years. You cannot keep yourself down. It's not just Chase Brown. It's everybody else. You cannot keep yourself down. And we joke around about it, about being introverts and not wanting to be around people sometimes. And it's true. We need to have our breathers, but even that, we cannot keep ourselves down. You got to go look to Paul, Peter, and everything that they were doing. And you got to keep the faith, and you got to keep pushing forward, because it's all about the kingdom. It's all about getting to heaven. Your family needs you. The people around you need you. The community needs you. Whatever you've gone through, I would say that to my dad. There are children that have gone through what you've gone through, broken homes and stuff, that you could help. You can make the difference. And I know that we brought that up as we're fighting casinos and we're fighting, whatever else out here. That is the motivation for those around us. It's not about us. It's about helping the next person to not go through what I've gone through. So really, that's, I didn't mean to take it over. It really hit me when I read that. It's like, I've seen that before, and we can't stay down there, because then you just stay down there. So anyways, back to you, Micah.
I just wonder if I'd ignored his call if he drove over here. Those are all really good points, Jordan, to bring out. And, and especially as he mentioned that his coping with it is to make jokes. And then a lot of the times people have the tendency of making themselves the butt of the joke and trying to, bring out some truth about how they're feeling about themselves, but it's in jest. And that it's, nobody, at least on this side of things, is looking at you that way. So you have at least 3 people that are here on your side, and they're not thinking about you that way, and that are very appreciative for what you are doing for the work here in Montana, and helping us with the broadcast and being involved in the chat. And that is, that same type of mindset needs to be put over into what you're doing there in Tennessee, I believe it is, and working in that area of the kingdom.
And on top of all this, I've had the same dad as Jordan. And it was, so first of all, it's very frustrating growing up and hearing all that stuff. It's like, I've tried, Jordan's tried, many people have tried a lot of times to help my father out, and he's denied it so many times. And as Jordan said, we're no longer in fellowship with him. But to really, what was coming to my mind is, there are people who depend on you. So your wife, your kids, other people, the 3 of us on the broadcast with you in the comments depend on you to be there. But it's, in order for you to be able to bring love and joy to others out there, you have to bring that to yourself. In order to cast judgment on others, you have to cast judgment on yourself. In order to keep things in a nice and neat order out there in the world, you have to keep your house in a nice and neat orderly fashion. That's where the command for the eldership, everything that you're supposed to keep in order, you're supposed to have that down so that you can teach others to do that. judge not lest you be not judged. It's this, if I can't look at myself right, how am I supposed to look at others? What are you judging them upon? If it's your own judgment towards yourself, you're not going to be fair to others out there. So you got to look at yourself different and to have a higher esteem towards yourself, because as Jordan said, you're going to keep yourself down low. And also for those who are trying to build you up, you're going to pull down rather than build them up. Jordan.
Yeah, I have one more thing to say that just I've been learning a lot ever since we've been going through all this stuff with our father. I've been learning a lot about traumatic experiences in people's childhood and what they bring along with them and what they give to their kids. And so you develop bad habits and then you give your kids bad habits. I have learned bad habits that I've learned from my dad. And so I've been trying to learn myself out of them. And so to go back for not only G.S. Brown, but also Eduardo and the leadership talk that was going on there, I highly recommend John C. Maxwell books, and not just his leadership books, but his other ones that talk about just self-help. And it helps you to turn your attitude around. It doesn't just happen overnight, though. It's not just this, all of a sudden sunshines and daisies and nothing's ever going wrong, as you guys were saying at the beginning of the broadcast. Now you're a Christian, everything goes great. But if you get these books that have self-help, it helps change your mind instead of being caught in your bad habits and saying, no, I am this piece of dirt, I am this piece of trash, or whatever it is that you can't seem to get out of. These books help change your mind. I'm not taking away from the Bible, but he has a lot of biblical principles, even though he's not a true biblical Christian. I highly recommend getting these things, daily reading them along with your Bible. And that would also help Eduardo with his leadership if you are going over and trying to do that. And it helps show what a true leader is supposed to be doing. But I just thought I'd hit two birds with that and give John C. Maxwell a plug. But that was it. As Reese was talking, I was thinking of that.
John C. Maxwell is not a sponsor of this broadcast.
But he could be.
All right. I've got nothing else.
That's it for me.
All right. Thanks,
Good for
Jordan.
me.
Go start
Thank
the truck.
you. Okay.
Goodbye. All righty. All right. So going back to the chat here. Okay, we're ready to deal with that. Eduardo says, thank you. Clint Little, I've been part of several Church of Christ since 1986. During my working years, I had to move my family because of work. Every church was fantastic, full of wonderful Christians, very few problems. Oh, man. Well, you're one of the lucky ones. That's all I can say.
It's not right to brag.
God bless you is all I can say.
You don't know what I've been
That's
through.
right. Then non-worldly Alex, there is no courage without fear. That's absolutely right.
Man.
Do y'all pay moving expenses? No, we don't. But whoever you possibly get hired with, you can ask them about it. Matthew 11:28-30. Let go of those 20 yokes or more you're holding on to you are forgiven. I don't think that's exactly how that verse goes, but I think I understand the sentiment. Yeah, it's the yoke is easy and light, but it still is a yoke. And that's the yoke that you're deemed to take on and not all the other burdens that you're trying to put on yourself. Brother Barnes, when y'all talk of disfellowship and family members, must it a total separation or just a church separation? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by as in a like everybody. I don't know, need some more, not sure about those terms that are being used there, but what has happened is it has been a, I guess, total church separation. This their dad, I mean, if he wanted to come and assemble with us, he can. Nobody has kicked him out of the building. We've not changed the locks on the doors to keep him out.
Call the police.
Or anything like that. but it's a known situation that, okay, you are continuing to walk disorderly, you're continuing to walk in sin, you have not repented of it, therefore you are not in fellowship with God, you're not in fellowship with us. So as far as all the normal things that we would normally do together, like with our game nights and eating together and all that kind of stuff, we're not going to do that. We're not going to participate in that with him. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, not to keep company, no, not to eat with them. But if he were to want to come to the assembly and try and study with us, then that would be open. But we would not extend to him the Lord's Supper, or if he tried to put in for the collection, which I don't think he would try to do that anyways, we wouldn't take that from him because we're not worshiping together because we're not in fellowship. So was trying to word it different, as Caleb said that helped me. I forgot how he said it. LOL. Is that a different Caleb, or is that my little brother Caleb? Brother Barnes, when y'all talk of, okay, I already read that one. Lori White says, hello, sorry, I'm joining late. Hey, better late than never.
Better late than never.
Appreciate you for tuning in with us. Does it extend to family, outing, and get together? Okay, so yeah, that it would. With we all got together on, when was Christmas? Was that Thursday?
Thursday.
We all got together on Thursday. Which, I mean, as far as communication goes, there's not a whole lot of communication, primarily because of how deceptive he is in his practices. It really has turned into a situation of that, okay, at this stage, there just really is no good communication, because anything that's given to him, he's just going to twist and try to maneuver around to his advantage. But like, yeah, let's say that there was some communication between y'all and him, he wouldn't be able to come to the Christmas get together with everybody because we're not in that kind of fellowship. So I mean, when you're looking at the wording that's used there in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, in particular, verse, all right, I wrote unto you an epistle not to company with fornicators, all together with fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or with extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must you needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you to not keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such an one, no, not to eat. So with the phrasing of that you're not to keep company, that extends itself into all sorts of different areas that we're talking about here. We are not together, and that any kind of gathering, family gathering, outing, what have you, I am not going to do anything that would put me in a position to where it would seem as though I'm extending to you fellowship.
Yeah.
And that's a broad term that's being used for a very good reason. And that is just, yeah, there is no company. There's no companionship. And but so even with that, this is not to just to be mean to them or try to hurt them. This is all by design, by God, that's found in verse 5, to deliver such an one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord Jesus. It is an attempt to wake them up as to how bad their behavior is. Your behavior is so bad that is causing us that we cannot even share together in the common stuff that families should share together in. And then with that realization of like, okay, yeah, I've messed this up very badly. Let me try to make things right. And we're not needing to, so there again, we're not needing to make excuses. And I'm not trying to say that Brother Barnes is, but there are a lot of brethren that would. And that's just, oh, well, you can't treat family this way, blah, 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 so on and so forth. It's just like, I don't find any exceptions in here that, well, yeah, you do this to a brother unless he's your dad or unless he's your husband, like what have you.
But he's family.
Right. Yeah, there's no such exception in here. If any man called a brother is found in this, so that could be your dad, your husband, your uncle, your granddad, could be anybody, your grandmother for that matter. if they're involved in doing this
Grammy.
and they haven't repented, don't keep company. You don't eat with them. And it's not just a responsibility of the family members, but it's a responsibility of the entire congregation. So, alrighty. And then non-worldly Alex, little brother Caleb. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't kept up with them for a very long time, so don't know the phrasing. All right. Don't see anything else in the chat. No other questions.
Go start the truck.
Yeah. Or closing thoughts before you start the truck.
I don't think I got any.
Oh man. Really?
The whole disfellowship thing, you pretty much summed it up. Yeah, we're not in fellowship with my dad. He
Well, you don't have to have closing thoughts on that if you don't want closing thoughts on that.
All I was
Just-
gonna say is he decided to not come around and he won't let me at the house. So no, we don't. We don't keep company with him.
Yeah, and in that situation, it's just as much him as it is us.
Mhm.
So
Other than that, going back to Jordan's comment, we love J.S. Brown, and I will continue to pray for him as well. And if he wants to reach out at all, I'm usually open to talk. And so, yeah, we'll give our numbers at the end. Not that you don't already have them, but yeah, for anyone that's thinking those things about themselves, I've had to deal with a lot of people in my lifetime who have thought that about themselves and have uprooted old habits because that's old bad habits that you have to talk or downplay yourself. You are valuable in God's eyes. So to keep moving forward with that, I would highly encourage it. As far as Eduardo Sanchez goes, again, to go back to Matthew 5:3 and to be poor in spirit, to work together as a team that you are heading to heaven with these group of brothers and sisters in Christ, to work together for that ultimate goal. And then our original questioner, as far as anxiety goes and everything that they're going through, again, just to keep moving forward and to reach out and ask for help when you need help. And if there's any question that you have regarding Bible, again, the phone numbers will be put out there in the end of this video. But to not just solely rely on yourself and your knowledge, a lot of what's in the Bible, I've had to ask questions and I've had to dive deeper for myself, ask questions, and look into other people and what they've had to say. I've looked into denominational answers, and sometimes you can find good things there, but most of the time you can't find all truth there. So to go back to the Bible and to study it for yourself, but ask questions, ask brothers in Christ, brothers and sisters in Christ, and to really search out the scriptures on what you're supposed to do. Again, thank you for the questions that he's put out there, and Eduardo Sanchez and anyone else that's put out questions in here. Thank you for engaging with us and giving us something to dive into, look into, and to hopefully help those who are out there who are struggling. And again, going through possibly similar situations that you're going through, trying to start a congregation, or who are finding themselves in this anxiety-ridden congregations. There is help for you out there, and we're part of it. So just want to say thank you for all of our commenters, our listeners, and Jordan for calling in, and Nick and Eduardo. So thank you all.
my closing thoughts. This is our last episode of 2025. So I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for making 2025 a enjoyable year for us and doing the broadcast. One of the things that made the work in Virginia harder, and especially at the time frame when I got involved in it, was it became more and more difficult. I shouldn't say more and more difficult, but it's just there wasn't as many phone calls that were coming in at the time when I came into the work as there was when the work first started going. That meant that I would go on for an hour of live television and without any phone calls. And then you just, there'd be sometimes you would wonder, well, okay, is anybody even watching? Because it's just me and a camera and whoever's working the studio. And it's just, okay, we're not getting any kind of feedback, any kind of back and forth. And
There's 7,000 who haven't
right.
bowed the knee.
And they, the text messages and things would usually come in after the show
Mhm.
and just, hey, we were watching it, really enjoyed it, so on and so forth. And so I made mention of it there in Virginia at different times of how appreciative we are for people to be engaged in the chat or to call or give us messages, because there are times where it just feels like who's even paying attention,
Mhm.
who is really even listening, and everybody that's engaging with us, it helps bring life to this broadcast, and it revitalizes us and energizes us to know that, yeah, we are making a difference and we're trying to help.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is our goal. So thank you for your working with us alongside in this broadcast. Even though there's not a camera on you, you still are a part of the episode when you come in and join us in the chat or make phone calls. And we greatly do appreciate it. So thank you for a good year with 2025. And we're looking forward to some exciting things for 2026 as we continue to fight for righteousness and holiness together.
And
So,
freedom.
yeah, so stay tuned for that. We will go to our outro then. Well, we do have people commenting now. Praying for all suffering. Kevin Honeycutt, definitely appreciate that. J.S. Brown from Non-Worldly Alex, thanks, Doc. J.S. Brown, thanks, everyone. And J.S. Brown says, see you next year. Yeah, we will see you in 2026. So if you're in the local area, we invite you to come out and assemble with us at the Ronan VFW Hall Sundays at 10 a.m. for our Bible class. We're in Acts chapter 3, but we're moving pretty fast in Acts chapter 3. And then our worship assembly follows after that. So come out and be with us. If you have any questions, if you're just curious about the Church of Christ, why not come in and see us and find out what we're all about? This has been a live episode of the Back to the Bible broadcast, Sunday night, 7:30 p.m., Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Next week, we will not be live because we will have our men's study. But then the following week, we will be back. And I believe we're planning on jumping right into this hot topic that's going on in our local area. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for that. That way you can keep up with us. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook. We live stream the sermons, and we're sharing information from the brethren in Virginia, faithful brethren in Virginia, and also different brethren throughout the country. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for the Church of Christ of Lake County on YouTube. That's where we upload our classes. That's what Jordan was talking about, the sermon being uploaded tomorrow, but it's not at 6, it's at 10. Class is uploaded or made available at 8. It's already uploaded. It'll be made available for viewing at 8. Then the sermon will be made for viewing at 10, I believe, tomorrow morning. But if you have your notifications on, you'll know whenever that happens, even if I'm telling you wrong right now. But I'm pretty sure that I'm not. Gilding Jordan's Wave. Jordan and I were talking about this morning. I believe he's going to try to do something this coming Thursday, is what he said. Is that right? Yeah, January. Yeah, he's going to try to do something January the 1st for Gilding. That'll be on this channel, Back to the Bible broadcast. Again, if you're subscribed, have your notifications on. When we make the announcement, you will get that announcement and be able to tune in for that if it happens. Then our contact information, you can email us at cfcoflakecounty@gmail.com. If you'd like a copy of that book, Baptism and Watered Down, email us your address. I will send your address over to the person who's handling the books, and she does a wonderful job, marvelous job.
She's wonderful.
Beautiful job. And she will get the book out much faster than I can. So just email us your address. We'll mail that out to you, cfcoflakecounty@gmail.com. If you have questions, comments, a topic you'd like for us to dig into, if there's a video, podcast, article, whatever, send it our way. We'll look through it, see if we can make something out of it. If you'd like to call us and ask a question or just give a quick word of encouragement, you can call me at 434-429-5221.
Jordan at 406-499-1745, or Reese at 406-241-4667.
You can message us on Facebook. The comment section on our YouTube channels are open because we want this communication. We want this dialogue. We want to try to help as many people as we possibly can. Please be patient with us because, of course, trying to juggle 2 different YouTube channels and 2 different Facebook pages and whatever else is going on, things get lost in the weeds. So just be patient with us. If you don't hear from us, send us another message. That way we can see it and we'll do our best to get back with you. Reese, thank you for being on for another episode.
Thank you. Can I give one last thing? One last thing. Very quickly.
I guess.
Okay.
I guess.
For the one who was asking about the work situation out here, there are some jobs out here, but there's also a few women that are unmarried. And if you're single and looking to mingle, I've got some numbers for you. So in case you're wondering, there's some unmarried people out here. But that's it for me.
Good plug. Yeah, it's a good plug. I didn't think about that. That was good. All righty. Yeah, we can hook you up with work and maybe a wife if you need it.
For the right price.
That's right. All righty. Thank you, Reese, for being here and for that
Thank you.
last little bit. Thank you for everybody that called in. Thank you everybody engaged in the chat. We, as we said, greatly appreciate it. Helps make the broadcast just that much better by having your involvement and having your thoughts. So we hope that you have a great night, great rest of your week, great rest of 2025, and that everybody's excited and looking forward to 2026. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night and God bless.